pretty sure a lot of people don't know this because I see them comparing similar cruises to each other's. I mean, they're thinking that they are vastly different from each other, like a Carnival Cruise Line and a Royal Caribbean, for example. You know, you hear things like Carnival is ghetto and Royal Caribbean is a superior or more elegant cruise line, which is totally far from the truth. Now, listen, comparing Royal Caribbean to Carnival is like comparing Jack in the Box, McDonald's, or even Chick-fil-A, or maybe a Burger King to each other, saying that one is better than the other as far as the class. They are all fast food restaurants, period, at the end of the day. So if Carnival is Section 8 or low class or ghetto to you, then the other cruise lines like Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, MSC are also. And the reason why I'm saying that is a lot of people don't know the difference between the different cruise lines. So in a nutshell, let me go over some of these, give you some major points to let you know. Now, the economy or the beginner cruise lines, those are your major cruise lines like Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, MSC, Carnival. All those are beginner economy type mass production cruise lines. Now, some of the ways to know that you're on one of these type of cruise lines, one of them is the ship itself. The ships are humongous. They are bigger. They're mega cruise ships. You know, I know everybody's talking about the Icon of the Seas, the Wonder, maybe even the Jubilee, and these big giant ships that hold thousands and thousands of people. Those typically are your mass-produced economy entry-level cruise lines. And they try to get you with the marketing by telling you, oh, it's only $700 per person, for example, but you have to have two people in the cabin. So there's really $1,400 because you can't go without paying double occupancy. And another thing they do is they charge you for other stuff like Wi-Fi, beverages like soda. They charge you gratuity separately. They also do stuff like charge for the specialty restaurants that's in there, like the steakhouse or the shrimp place or the maybe even the Italian restaurants that might be on board. Those things like that are something that are considered part of the package when you step up from a beginner cruise line to a more premium cruise line. All of those things that I previously mentioned are included in the price. So you don't pay extra for any of that. No extra gratuities, no extra for the specialty dining, the Wi-Fi, none of that stuff. And another difference is to let you know that you're on the economy beginner cruise is if there's a buffet. Premium to luxury, they don't do that. They don't do buffet. You don't go and stand in line to get your food and someone's is ahead of you using the same tongs as you are. You don't do that on a premium cruise line. All the places that you eat, you have servers that'll serve you. They'll come like a waiter, take your order, and they'll bring it out to you. So again, being on a Carnival or Royal Caribbean is like being at McDonald's or Jack in the Box, and then going to a premium cruise line like a Virgin or Disney. It's like going to a restaurant like Papa Do's or Ruth Chris or something like that. Totally different. They're not even comparable. And some of y'all may beg to differ that they are comparable. They're really not once you get in it. Another big indication that you're on a economy or a beginner cruise line is if there are interior cabins on the ship. Premium and luxury cruise lines, they don't have interior cabins, period. Everyone gets to see the ocean on a balcony. Everyone is enjoying pretty much the same experience because they all paid a premium price. So in an economy type cruise, they have the interior cabins, which are obviously cheaper. And these cabins are on a different level. The technology off inside these cabins is just a lot of luxury included within it. You can get the little tablet that controls the entire cabinet, from the AC unit to the curtains to the lighting, different colors, the TV, the movies, everything controlled by one little tablet. And of course, you're going to have a balcony with it. You're not going to get any of that on the economy. And the size of the ship makes a big difference too, because I know we've all been on those cruises where when it's time to get to the port or time to get off the boat, you will have a huge line. It could take hours. It's taken me 3 hours to get off a ship. Whereas the premium and luxury, there's not an issue. Number one, because there's less people. And the getting off the ship is totally different. You just walk off the ship just like you would in a hotel. You just walk out the hotel. Well, that's what you get to do when you get on a premium. And that's one of the reasons why the ship is not as big, because although the ship may be gigantic, like these big Icon of the Seas, for example, or Jubilee, the ships are huge, but the amount of people on it is also huge. And in fact, you have more square footage per person when you're on the smaller ship as opposed to the bigger ship, because you have more room to move around because it doesn't have that many people. So with that being said, getting on and off these ships, totally different experience. It was similar to just checking into a hotel. You didn't go through all these long, extended lines and waiting. Totally different getting on and off the ship. The premium cruise lines, they don't have a cruise director. There's no one coming over the loudspeaker telling you about the day, what's going on here, that I didn't hear anything, not one loudspeaker announcement, except for, hey, we're getting ready to go. Every time we pulled up to a destination, there was no announcement. The ship just pulled up, and if you didn't look out the window or paid attention to the time yourself, you would just be in port and not even know it. This right here made it a huge difference, because there's no long lines. People just casually go about their business getting on and off the ship. Totally different from the mass hysteria that you have when you're on these mega ships and everybody are lined up throughout the hallways ready to get off the ship. Hated that. And when you get into these more luxurious cruise lines, you'd be surprised. A lot of the stuff is included, including the wine, including the alcohol, and including the excursions. You pay it in the price. And if you don't go on the excursion, oh well, you already paid for it. So these uber luxurious cruise lines, you know, they're going to take you and fly you out on the glacier and sit, and you get to experience being on the glacier. You pay for that. You pay a lot of money for it. So there's a different levels of cruise lines out there. There's not all just the Carnivals and the Royal Caribbeans of the world, which most of us are experiencing. So literally, when people say you can't compare like a Virgin to a Royal Caribbean or Carnival, you literally can't, because they're offering something totally different. Not just the no children part, but just the quality of the service and what you get for the service. It is totally different, not the same. So I would suggest, if you're trying to find something a little different and a little bit more upscale, more service, instead of switching and jumping between all these economy beginner cruise lines, switch up to a more premium cruise line. Go with, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but you're going to get a lot more. It's going to be a more pleasurable experience for you. Those economy cruise lines are stepping their game up, like getting their own private islands, for example. That has been something that luxurious cruise lines always had. They've always had their private destination. They always had their private areas that escort you to these different parts of wherever they go, so you can experience your own private vacationing. Now these economy cruise ships are getting their own islands or whatnot, but it's not new. It's new to the people who are not traveling on those more expensive, luxurious, and premium cruise lines. So one of the things that I noticed, when I can tell when someone is coming from a Royal Caribbean or maybe a Carnival, is when you go to the galley, as Virgin calls their area, it is not a buffet. You go in, you sit down, you order your food, and they bring the food to you. Well, you will have people standing in line at the restaurants trying to get their order as if it was a buffet, and it's not a buffet. You're supposed to go and sit down. It is, and they are taking so many customers from the Royal Caribbean and Carnival that they allow it. It's just too much to try to police it. So they let people stand up, but you can actually sit down at the table, take your order, and it'll come to you. So that's my take on the Carnival versus Royal Caribbean. These are the same types of cruise lines, and you have to step up to a whole different class of cruise lines to really see the difference between the levels that you get when you're traveling out there on cruise ships. Anyway, I go by Black Diver. You can see me on all social media accounts. Check my YouTube page out. My handle is Black Diver on there also. And this is just my take on the different cruise lines and what you get with them. Thanks for watching.